Right now, while you're watching this, your brain is slightly shrinking. Not because anything's wrong with you, it does this every single night. Your brain literally contracts by up to 60% of its cell space to let a wave of fluid flush through it like a power washer, sweeping out the metabolic garbage your neurons have made all day. And if that wave doesn't come, the garbage doesn't just sit there quietly. It starts turning into the exact stuff found in Alzheimer's brains. So today we're talking about the cleaning crew that shows up in your school every night at lights out, and what happens on the nights they don't clock in. Stick around, because the way scientists actually discovered this system is honestly kind of a wild story. Okay, so quick disclaimer. Before we go further, I'm not a neurologist. I just read way too many papers so you don't have to. Everything in this video is backed by real publishing research. I'll flag the few spots where scientists are still arguing, because they are, a lot. This is a genuinely new field. Here's the setup. Every organ in your body makes waste. Your liver deals with it, your kidneys deal with it, but your brain has a problem. It's sealed off behind something called the blood-brain barrier, so it can't just dump waste into your bloodstream like every other organ does. So for decades, scientists had this embarrassing gap in their knowledge. We didn't actually know how the brain took out its own trash. Turns out, it waits until you fall asleep. Let's rewind to 2012, University of Rochester. A neuroscientist named Micah Niedergar, her lab is injecting dye into the fluid around mouse brains and watching where it goes under a microscope. And they noticed something strange. This fluid isn't just sitting there like brain-flavored soup. It's moving, flowing in specific channels along blood vessels in a very deliberate, plumbing-like pattern. They start mapping it and realize this is an entire waste clearance system nobody had properly described before. They name it the lymphatic system, glial plus lymphatic, because it works kind of like your body's lymphatic system, except it runs by brain support cells called glial cells instead. Translation, your brain has its own private sewage system, and it had been hiding in plain sight for basically all of modern neuroscience. Here's the part that actually blew my mind. This system barely works when you're awake. Okay, quick mental model. And I promise this is the only textbook part of the video. Picture your brain cells sitting in a sea of fluid. That's your cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF. During the day, this fluid trickles slowly around your neurons. But your neurons are working hard, thinking, firing, doing you things. And that produces metabolic byproducts. Basically, cellular exhaust fumes. One of those byproducts is a protein fragment called beta amyloid. You've probably heard that name before. And if a little alarm bell just went off in your head, good. Hold that thought. We're coming back to it. Now here's the part that makes this whole system genius. At night, something changes. In 2013, the same research group published a follow-up study, this time watching sleeping mouse brains directly under the microscope. And they found that during sleep, specifically deep, slow-wave sleep, the space between brain cells expands by around 60%. 60%. Your brain cells basically shrink back and make room like your neurons are politely stepping aside so the cleaning crew can get the vacuum through. That extra space lets cerebrospinal fluid rush in fast, flow along channels around your blood vessels, mix with the fluid between your cells, and physically flush the metabolic waste, including that beta amyloid, out and down toward your bloodstream, where your liver and kidneys can finally deal with it like normal garbage. So while you're dreaming about being chased by something you can't quite see, your brain is quite literally hosing itself down. And it turns out your heartbeat helps power the whole thing. Later research from the same lab found that pulsing of your arteries acts almost like a pump, pushing that fluid through the channels with every beat. Cool system. Really cool system. Now, what happens when it doesn't run? This is the part of the video where things get slightly less fun fact at a dinner party and slightly more actual kind of concerning, so bear with me. Scientists obviously couldn't just crack open living human skulls to check this, so they did the next best thing. They measured beta amyloid levels in the fluid and blood of humans after controlled sleep deprivation. In one 2014 study, participants who were kept awake for a single night showed a measurable rise in beta amyloid in their spinal fluid, around a 5% jump compared to when they slept normally. Then, in 2018, a study using brain scans found that after just one night of total sleep deprivation, Amyloid buildup increased in specific brain regions, including areas involved in memory. So the cleaning crew skips one shift, and you can already see the trash pile forming. Now, before anyone panics and closes this tab to go take a nap forever, one bad night is not going to give you Alzheimer's. Your brain isn't that fragile, and it does catch up. This is about what happens when one bad night becomes a pattern. Here's where it gets genuinely important. Beta amyloid is the same protein that clumps together into the sticky plaques found in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. Researchers don't think poor sleep causes Alzheimer's by itself. It's way more tangled than that. Genetics and dozens of other factors play a role too. But multiple long-term studies tracking people over years have found something consistent. People with chronic poor sleep or disrupted sleep patterns tend to show higher amyloid burden and a higher later risk of cognitive decline. And there's a genuinely creepy feedback loop hiding in here. Amyloid buildup itself seems to disrupt the deep sleep you need to clear amyloid. Bad sleep helps waste build up, and the waste buildup makes good sleep harder to get. It's less a switch and more a slowly tightening spiral. Okay, deep breath. Let's talk about something you can actually do about this, because I promise this video has a point beyond just stressing you out. A few details researchers have found that genuinely surprise me. 1. Sleep position. A 2015 study on rats found that the lymphatic system cleared waste more efficiently when they slept on their side compared to on their back or stomach. So side sleepers, you can smugly retweet this at people. 2. Number 2. Alcohol. A mouse study found that low-dose alcohol seemed to slightly help lymphatic flow, but chronic heavy drinking significantly impaired it. So the science is not supporting nightcap fixes your brain. It's much closer to chronic heavy drinking clogs the pipes. Number 3, sleep apnea. Because this condition repeatedly fragments deep sleep throughout the night. Studies have linked it with higher amyloid markers too. One more reason it's worth actually treating, not just living with a snoring. None of these are the whole story on their own, but they all point the same direction. The quality and depth of your sleep matters here, not just the hours logged. Quick, important pause, because I promised you facts and not hype. Almost all of the direct visual evidence for the lymphatic system, watching the fluid actually flow, comes from studies in mice, not humans. We can't stick a microscope through a living person's skull to watch it happen the same way. What we do have in humans is indirect but consistent. Sleep deprivation studies showing amyloid increases, brain imaging studies, and long-term sleep and dementia risk studies all pointing the same direction as the mouse data. Scientists are still working out the exact mechanics in humans, and there's active debate about details like how much this changes with age. So strong converging evidence, not yet a fully mapped human system. That's just honest science, and honestly, that's kind of exciting. This is a field being written in real time, not a sealed textbook chapter. So, practically, what does this actually mean for you tonight? It's generally simple, which is almost annoying after 9 minutes of neuroscience. Deep sleep is when the flush happens most. So, the things that protect deep sleep: consistent sleep timing, a cool dark room, cutting the 1 a.m. doom scroll, not treating alcohol as a sleep aid, managing something like sleep apnea if you have it, those aren't just good habits in some vague wellness influencer sense. They're maintenance on an actual physical plumbing system in your skull. Your brain isn't asking you to sleep more because it's being dramatic. It's asking for cleaning shift coverage. So, next time you're lying in bed at 1 a.m. telling yourself, I'll sleep when I'm dead, just know that somewhere in your skull there's a genuinely microscopic power washing crew standing around, tapping their little glial cell watches, waiting for you to clock out so they can clock in. Give them the shift. If you learned something, like and subscribe and check out my links below. See you in the next one.